Alrighty, so now that we've got our blocky characters animated, let's go ahead and animate the cat character. And I'm going to select these guys here, and I'm going to freeze them. Okay, and then the princess, I'm going to go ahead and unfreeze her. Okay, so she should be all the way unfrozen then. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just grab both these guys and isolate them. Because what I'll do is I'm just going to make the princess's movements match his. Okay, that seems like a pretty good place to start. Now, the first thing that I would do before I do anything else here is I'm going to change her stance, because I just found when I was practicing this before that because of her leg being straight, then it caused me some real problems. So before I do anything at all, I'm going to freeze her body again. And I'm going to also make it see-through. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is sort of straighten her out a little bit. Okay, so she looks perfectly good then, and her legs are bent a little bit forward. That's really important. I might even bring her pelvis down just a little bit, just to exaggerate that bend. Since she's going to be dancing, that's okay anyways. All right. And so now, the next thing, since I've got her pelvis here selected, I can go in here, and I'm going to give it an absolute layer. So there it is. And I'm going to go ahead and click this on so I can start to animate her. All right. And I want to be able to see my song. So I want to go to my graph editors and open up the dope sheet. And yours should probably already be hooked to the top. If not, you could go ahead and put it on the top, or maybe you're using yours on the other screen. But in any case, mine opens kind of funny. It's really high. If you look at those numbers, are really, really super high. I'm just going to drag this to the middle. I can see where my cursor is. That's the 0 spot. And I'm just going to roll my mouse wheel, and you can see that stretching out. Once again, just rolling, not pushing. Just rolling. Okay, so now I'm more or less in my animation area here. And I'm going to open this up a little bit more. See, I can pull that down. Oh, and there's my waveform. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'll roll that up just a little bit. And I only need to see one of these since they seem to be identical. And that gives me as much real estate on the screen as possible. Okay, so now that I've got my animation layer happening, and I've got my auto key turned on, and I think what we can do, and we've got this right over here, is I think I'll focus in a little bit more on here. So just zooming in here. And about 400 or so. That's good. And then I think I'll do the same thing with the timeline. And the easiest way to do it would just be to go to this configuration, start it at 0, and go to 400. And, you know, once again, I'm just doing this to show you, you're doing your own thing, and so you have to use your own common sense about it. Okay, so let's see, where do we start? Okay, so the first thing we have is that this guy's sort of bending over a little bit, so I'm going to do that with her as well. So I've got my rotate tool. Like this. Might as well grab the head as well. Down a little bit. And it looks like he's got the one arm going forward at that point. So I'm going to do that, bring that one forward. All good. And then I'll just move this over, probably to the next beat. In fact, here, I'm going to zoom in even a little bit more. Okay. And so basically all I'm going to do is just keep matching the motion of that guy. So right here, you see his arms up. Instead of moving this manually, reposing it, let's see. This arm must have been up at this keyframe right here, right? Because this one, it would have been down, right? And so at this one where it's up, right here, I can probably grab this one right here that just happens to be highlighted. In fact, I'll grab it for the whole arm. Watch, I'll just go double click, So I've got it for that whole arm. I'm going to grab this one and oops, and shift, hold down the shift key there and move that. Let's go ahead and do this arm too. Okay, so this one is now down. So we'll get this arm, and we must have one where it is down, right? So it must be this one here, that whole arm. So I'm going to hold down the shift key and bring that over. Okay, that's pretty good. We're just going to do that a couple times, and then I'm going to do as much shift copying as I can. And as I continue to just make these keyframes, you'll see that I've got a pattern starting to grow here. And so I'm just taking these two, so one is an up and one is a down keyframe right here, holding my shift key, copying it over, and then I'll move this over here. Okay, and as I keep going along, as he gets up again, I'm going to just make her go up again. I just wanted to point it out as I continue to do this, how expanding this timeline up here greatly, right? So that's really expanded, is really helping to make the movements, because if I was to move down here with all these frames, it'd be hard to make subtle movements. But with this really greatly expanded, I can go and it moves very slow. So I can see like, okay, right there, you know, that's where that arm went up for this one. So once again, I've got that keyframe and I can just move one of those keyframes over, holding down my shift key and moving it so I don't even have to move the arm, and that's all good. I've set all the keyframes to the arms to match my little Freddy character. Here it is. Let's take a look at how it's going. Not bad. And what I did, in addition to working the arms, I did give a little bit of movement in the hips and as well as the chest, and just match the head to Freddy's head. So actually, you know what I'd really like to do is end the isolation. And so let's see what we've got so far. All right, turn my auto key off. That's always dangerous. Okay, you can see the computer's having a real hard time keeping up with it. So I think that's all right. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the cameras and the lights moving. And that'll add a lot more excitement and a lot more drama to it. And so finally I will save. It's a really good idea to save every major step along the way. I had dancing animation. Well, how about I'll do replace that scene with character. That, along with the date, will just let me know which one it is. And like I say, it's just a good idea after all that work to save, and that way you won't have any troubles going forward.